Welcome everyone, I am Nick with Cruisin' Family. Today I'll be sharing our experiences of vacationing in New York City. We flew into Newark, New Jersey leading up to this trip. Newark has not gotten that great of press. We flew into Terminal A. I found the airport to be pleasant and easy to navigate. It took just a few minutes to walk to baggage claim. Our luggage was there waiting for us. Out the door from our baggage claim was the location to wait for our transportation. It felt like we had planned it all, but it was just right there. Definitely was impressed with Newark as an airport, as we had a simple process when heading back to Arizona. The hotel we stayed at is the Hotel Millennium Downtown. There are multiple Millennium hotels in New York City. The one that we stayed at is Millennium Downtown. This is a former Hilton property. The location was outstanding. Immediately across from the Oculus, very close to the 9/11 pools and memorial, the One World Trade Center, Trinity Church, and the Financial District, City Hall, and Battery Park. Is definitely located in a good spot. Check-in for this hotel is on the 4th floor. The front desk is on the 4th floor of the hotel. It was simple enough, and after we fixed one minor issue, we were on our way to our room. So as we moved through the hotel, it was easy to spot that it was under renovation. If you're watching this video and it's in early of 2026, I would say you'll be in for a treat. However, there are a few feathers that you'll have to live through up until then. Our room faced the Hudson, and we were able to see one of the 9/11 pools without obstruction. The hotel is one short block from a major road and sits across from the subway entrance. There are like 6 different entrances within a 10-minute walk of the Millennium Downtown. Definitely an ideal location for being close to many places in Manhattan. So we were in New York City for 5 days before a cruise. I'm going to highlight some of the major attractions that we visited. We weren't able to go to everything, and it'll be highlighted in what I don't get to, I guess, from your perspective. There are lots of places that I would have loved to get to, but these are the ones we got to. So first up, I'm going to talk about the 9/11 pools. We chose to visit the pools and not the museum out of respect for the location. We travel with kids. Our kids would not have done well. We wanted to keep it a reverent area. We understand that it can be quiet there and people trying to connect with the space. So, but the pools were amazing. Seeing the many names etched into stone, the water flowing, all of it bringing back memories of the day for me. I can't imagine how others who were closer to 9/11 may feel when they go there, but it definitely touched me. The layout was easy to navigate and impressive in its own right. One of the pools had water in it, and only one of the pools had water in it, and it looked as though they were doing renovation or construction on the other pool. They were trying to do maintenance. So, but it was still cool to be able to see both. I will say the 9/11 memorial and pools are a must spot for Manhattan. I'm going to rate it must, should, and maybe visit. So you kind of get that level. And this is just based on my personal opinion. You know, you may have your own, but just based on my experience and my opinion, that's where we're going to come from with this. So, but the 9/11 memorial is a must. So we have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel here focuses on travel with family. If you have young kids and not so young kids, this is definitely a must location. Many of our children, all of our children are younger than when 9/11 happened, and reality that going forward, children are all going to learn about it from the history books. So it's important to me to share that story, and not being anywhere close to it, but still having a major impact on my life. Definitely make sure that we shared a lot of that with our kids. All right, moving on. I'm going to now talk about our experience at the One World Trade Center observation deck. This was a last minute book for us. We actually had passed over it, said we weren't going to do it this time. And then we came back to it. So we had tickets ahead of time, so we arrived at the set time. And if you're in New York City, many of the places that you're going to go to, you're going to make a reservation for. Showing up and just doing is, unless it's shopping, is not really kind of a thing. So just a heads up with that. So they sent us through security, then to an elevator. The elevator ride up was impressive. I have a short on it. I'll probably play it right here, so hopefully you're able to see it. We were there in the evening time near sunset, and there were a ton of people that already had their spots picked out before we arrived for that sunset picture, which was okay. I was able to roam around and found many picture-worthy spots to take my snaps in. So to be honest, if there is one and only one observation deck, I would say come here. There are multiple observation decks in New York. We didn't go to all of them, so I can't say that for certain, but in my experience, I would say this was the best that we went to. I don't and one important note is I didn't think that from like my observations through other people's experiences here on YouTube. We did lots of research in lots of different places, including YouTube. But I thought this was definitely a genuine experience of being able to see that New York skyline. And this is definitely a should visit spot if you're in Manhattan. Our kids liked it, and as I just said, if you are going to do just one observation deck, this is the one. So this is a should, not a have to, but definitely worth the time. My next spot to talk to you about is the area that down under the Manhattan Bridge, DUMBO, people like to refer to as DUMBO. This was like our first stop on our first full day in New York City. We decided to head over to Brooklyn to start our day. We spent a few hours in the area. Our kids got to play at a park. There's a Manhattan Park right there. And we found many picturesque views as we walked around. And we even went to one of those trendy bakery spots. I think it's Butler or something to that effect. If you're into doing that research, you probably already found that spot. So I would say DUMBO is a should visit spot in New York City. Our kids loved it, and it was very family friendly. There were lots of people jogging there, dogs out, people doing, and definitely like a family vibe. So definitely a place where families are not, definitely for a family, they're not like pushed away or rushed or anything like that. And I say this is a should visit and not a must visit for only one real reason, and that is the should or the must in all of it really is walking that Brooklyn Bridge from Brooklyn to Manhattan. We got caught up in enjoying our time at the DUMBO area that we didn't get to make that walk. We had reservations in Manhattan at Slumu. I'll have a reservation, or I'll have a review of that location. I'm not going to include it in this video, just because it's not necessarily unique to New York here. Okay, so now let me talk about the High Line. We walked from Hudson Yard south. There were hundreds, and probably not hundreds, probably thousands of people on that day that were going both north and south. It was really like you were walking in a line, and there was a line coming the other direction. There was very little room to kind of wiggle around or even to enjoy the High Line. So that probably skews my opinion of the location just a little bit. Locals told us that the traffic that we were encountering was higher, and it was Memorial Day, so that is what it is. It was a cool place to walk and see the city from another perspective, and I really think that less crowds, we would have been able to enjoy the spot a whole lot more. Lots of the videos and pictures I've seen have far fewer people, and I guess there's, photography ticks with all that, but it was cool to see the connectivity with the High Line to Manhattan, going from the elevated down. There were either steps down or elevators down every couple hundred feet. So it wasn't like you had to stay on it for 4 miles. I'm gonna put this as a might visit, and I guess it's unfair. Maybe I'm saying that only because of the experience and the amount of people, but other than walking and being in a park, there's not a lot left with it, but it's definitely a family-friendly spot. So for our channel, I'd probably elevate it to a should visit for our families. But I think that you can still get New York and New York feel without hitting it up, especially if you're really tight on time. This would definitely be a might visit, in my opinion. All right, now we're going to journey over, talk about St. Patrick's Cathedral. This was an awe-inspiring building to me. It was very impressive. That the inside of the chapel there is ornate, and I really love this place. I love this place. It's hard to be critical because it was a fully operating church. We asked if or when Mass was going to be celebrated, and they said in like 85 minutes. So, a little bit later, we would have probably just sat and gone through Mass. But I would say this is for our location, I would say this is a should spot. And at the very least, just for the architecture, if you don't want to go inside, or if you're not into that Catholic vibe, it's still impressive to see. And I also say that this is definitely a family-friendly location, but that again is my perspective on that religious piece. So yes, definitely family-friendly. However, if your kids aren't used to going into a Catholic chapel and being part of that, it might not be family-friendly for you. You kind of have to make that kind of choice decision about whether or not it's for you and your family. But I would say yes, definitely families are welcome. Kids are welcome inside the chapel, and there are lots of different things to see and do in there. So definitely a should visit from my perspective. All right, I'm going to talk about the Rockefeller Center building and region as a region, rather than including each of the individual shops that we went to, because we went to a bunch. And there really are so many things in this spot. If you know the geography of the location, St. Patrick's Cathedral is on one side, and then all the rest on the other side is going to be that Rockefeller Center area. My kids all had earned chore money and saved up their birthday money and their Christmas money and any other little bits for probably about the last year. We've been planning since August, so the last 10 months. So this was their time. They're like, oh, we're gonna go get it. We went into American Girl doll store, the Lego store, AFL Schwartz, even Sephora. There was so much like shopping in that area. That's what we focused on. If you watched your vlog, you saw that. And as a historian, as a person that was there to kind of encounter the city, I'm a little disappointed because we didn't take time to feel to be around where that ice rink is, or go admire Apollo or any of the other architecture that was around there. So I definitely think that like going forward, if we visited Rockefeller Center or New York City again, it would definitely be a place that I would make more time to be in, and maybe say, hey, let's hold off on just being capitalists and purchasing our stuff, and let's enjoy being in the location. I would say this is a must go to if you're in Manhattan. This is going to be a must go to for me. Although we spent a lot of time shopping, there's so much more to this place, and would say yes, it really is family friendly, but be prepared because much of the family friendly stuff that's there, there's a lot of opportunity, as I already said, to spend some cash. And for the future, when we go back to New York City, this will be a place that we go back to as well. Okay, so what review of New York City and New York City like highlight locations would be complete without talking about Times Square? We went to Times Square. We made it there, and we went there for spectating only. We had no plans of going into any of the shops. We talked about a couple of places, but we didn't have anything solid. We walked around for a short time, right around where the red steps are, and it felt overwhelming to me. I would say Times Square is definitely a must visit. Like, you're in Manhattan, you need to make it to Times Square. However, if you have children who get overwhelmed easily, I would say make sure that you have a plan for them or to help assist them. One of our kids got very overwhelmed in a very short amount of time in Times Square. So if you are going to visit it and feel like that might be you also or one of your kids, plan on maybe trying to get there like on a weekday towards the morning time when things are less busy, so that the crowds aren't as thick, so that you can still see the location without feeling some of that anxiety that comes with being in that type of location for some people. All right, next up, I'm going to take you over to Central Park. When we arrived in New York, we didn't have anything scheduled. As we were going through our days, my wife found a pedicab service that was less expensive than what people were reporting. So we actually booked that, and were able to get 2 pedicabs for an hour at a budget-friendly price for a family of 5. And I would say I enjoyed the ride because it was much more than just sitting and looking. The drivers, the bicyclists that took us, they took time to talk about like the history, the location, pointing out different features and what different like movies. And we got to see Central Park, but then we also got to understand where we were, to put context in what we were seeing. So not just being there, but having like kind of like a tour guide. And the landscape is awesome. It's amazing to see so many of those places that are in movies and in TV shows. I would say Central Park is definitely a must-do for Manhattan, must-do for New York City. I've heard some people give it criticism and saying that you can skip it or skip over it. It's definitely like I feel like, especially if you haven't ever been there before, I would say this is a must-see part of New York City. Make time for it. It doesn't have to be all day. It doesn't have to be a half a day. We were only at Central Park for an hour or 15, 20 minutes. So, and I would say, yes, it's definitely family friendly for anybody that's like, oh, is it family friendly or not? Especially for our viewers that follow along just for that. It is family friendly. So make sure that's on your itinerary when you visit NYC. Now we're going to go south a little bit from Central Park to Summit One Vanderbilt. As I've already said in this video, it wasn't my favorite observation deck. And that's not a slam on it or saying that it was bad. I enjoyed the other observation deck more. That's all, right? The process went like, we checked in, there was security, then they put booties on our feet, then they scanned our faces so that we could see ourselves in the clouds, and then we did an elevator ride, and then as we went through, we explored many different rooms that had like different features. I really like the floor and ceiling mirrored room, and then also that ball pit room or balloon room. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm pretty sure that was an official name, and look at me, I didn't write it down, so I apologize. The different features were cool. I thought they were cool. The reason I didn't enjoy it as much was simply because the focus wasn't the New York City skyline. That wasn't the focus. They kept seeking ways to draw attention away from the skyline and put it on the different rooms. So maybe functionally I'm wrong and they're right, which it could be possible. I'm definitely not an expert on observation decks, but I actually really enjoyed. I actually really feel like they kept seeking that attention away, and I really did enjoy my time with it. It's just they were gimmicks. They weren't like genuine to where we were, right? We're right next to Chrysler Building. You know, you could see Central Park. You could see Empire State Building. You could see the United Nations and so many other locations. Oh my goodness! And here we are looking inward rather than looking outward. So that's why I feel that way. But it's still a really cool place to go. And I think this is a should visit attraction. Just like the other observation deck I said was a should visit. I would say that it's definitely family friendly, but for families, remind your kids, hey, the balloons, the silver balls, they're not there to pop or like push or whatever. Just be a little bit respectful of each other. And yes, I have a 10, 11, and 12-year-old that I had to say those exact same words to. So, but family friendly, yes. So thank you guys so much for making it to this far in the video. I know that I've talked a lot. But my last topic is less of a spot or location destination and more, and it is a tour. It has destinations in it, but it was inclusive of much of Manhattan, Brooklyn, and that it was a Circle Line Harbor tour that we took at sunset. It went all around Brooklyn and Manhattan and ended up past Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty. And I loved the cruise. I loved it. So many good views, so many good shots. We selected Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty this way intentionally, and we got a spectacular view. Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty are a must place to visit. However, there are lots of different places to get there, okay? And I know that I didn't go to the island. Our cruise was a mid-range price all the way down. You could get there by like a cruise like ours or like the Staten Island ferry. It's going to take you right past it, and you're not going to have to pay for it. Also, you could go to the island and walk the grounds. You get passes to go up to the first level, and then up. You can even go up into the crown. We chose not to do that. And really, again, we come back to our kids, and always our kids' attention spans. I wish that it was better. I wish that we had more focus on appreciating historical and important figures in our country. But they weren't at that place. As a matter of fact, the cruise option, as my son told me, he said, "Dad," sorry, I'm trying to do my son's impression. "Dad, this is boring." As like Statue of Liberty is like right there with like picturesque background to it. "Dad, this is boring." It's what it is. So it's family friendly, but prepare your kids that they're going to be working on appreciating their experience. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Hopefully you found some of the stuff that I talked to you about helpful. I do plan on having a more in-depth review of many of the locations that I just talked about. That's going to take a couple of weeks in the coming. I have lots of different footage, including our cruise footage that I'm working on. But I wanted to. Yesterday we had our cruise review, so I want to do a NYC review and have them both out there to be part of our channel. If you found the video to be helpful at all, please consider giving us a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and you know it goes a long way in promoting the success of my channel. And hopefully you found something that was valuable here. I talk about these things so that they give experiences, so that other people can make a decision like, hey, is that what I want to do, or do I want to do something else? So, and you know what? Also, if I didn't talk about something, or you have a question about something I did talk about, I didn't talk about it enough, or I didn't cover whatever, please let me know. Say, hey, Nick, what's going on with this? Hey, Nick, I really like that, but what's up? And just let us know about it, okay? Leave it down in the comments below. And I just have to say thank you so much, and you guys have a great day. We'll see you around. Bye.